Friends, today we're talking about something super cool called pronouns.
Not interested, sir. Anyways, here's how to tell if your sign is cheap.
Like, I'm a trans man and I'm gay and I have been...
So you're straight. Anyways, watch me put it down like this. The design is very human.
So I got served today at the pharmacy and
Sir, here's how to tell if your LED sign is cheap, sir.
You're a fake ally, you're a fake liberal, you're a hypocrite, and I feel sorry for your trans friends. I feel sorry for your trans friends.
I don't have any trans friends. Anyways, here's how to tell if your LED sign is cheap.
Little one asked me, Mommy, what's a girl? Mommy, what's a boy? What makes somebody a girl? What makes somebody a boy? Baby, I'm a they, them. I have no idea.
If you have a penis, you're a boy. Anyways, here's how to tell if your sign is cheap.
How someone identifies. My pronouns aren't preferred. They are mandatory.
Anyways, if you don't know how to take a business to the next level, come see us with this ultra-thin light box.
You have reached a pronoun checkpoint.
Not interested. What's up, homie? I'm Tony. If you want to start a business on a budget, make sure you go to the Source Factory.
Many people ask me, how do you use they, them pronouns for a singular person?
Anyways, if you want to order signs for your franchise stores, make sure you buy from a responsible sign company.
When I got my cake pops removed, I specifically asked my surgeon to leave the bag.
Anyways, here's how to tell if your sign is cheap.
Okay, I'm about to show some boy pictures. Be normal.
What's up, homie? Hope you never change. Come check out our perfect marquee letter.
I want to talk to the kids.
Nope. Anyways, if you want to order signs for your franchise stores, make sure you buy from a responsible sign company.
You walk into your new classroom to meet your teacher and you see me. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I'm homeschooling. Anyways, if you want to order signs for your franchise stores, make sure you buy from a responsible sign company.
Oh, that was the last one was the best one. That was the best one, the last one. Oh my God, that was so good. That was so good. Whew. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Newman, a.k.a. Good Lawgic. There's no guest today. It's just you and me. It's just like mano a mano, as the case may be. For some of you, it might be mano a womano. Don't make anything more of it than it is. Anyhow, it's just us tonight, which is probably a good thing. It's been a while because with all the holidays and stuff like that, I have sort of incorporated into my schedule as a general rule, pretty much bringing in Sin on Wednesdays and Jim on Thursdays. That's been my thing. You might say to yourself, Joe, it's Third Person Thursday. Where's Jim? Where's Jim? What's going on, Jim? Jim's got issues tonight. I wish him well. He's got issues. He's got some tech issues, as I understand it. Tech issues. So hopefully those tech issues get sorted out. I cannot relate to that because I obviously, Third Person Thursday. Joe obviously cannot relate to that because Joe never has any tech issues. Joe's tech is fleek. It's on point. It's on point. Anyway, tonight's two main topics. There are two main topics. The two main topics are that, pretty much Bolton is FUBAR. He's so cooked. That man is so cooked. Oh, my God. He is going to jail. That man is going to jail. I'll tell you right now. I went through the indictment. The guy is going to jail. He's going to jail. We're going to go through it. He's going to jail. That's what's happening. I'll tell you. That's my. The other is I watch bits and pieces of New York City mayoral debate, and oh my God, like Sliwa and Cuomo are clowns. Hey, this guy has nothing going for him, Mamdani, and he's gonna waltz on in there. He's gonna waltz on in there. I gotta call it like I see it. I wish I could be giving you good news all the time. That's what I'd love to come in here giving you good news, like saying, "Hey, John Bolton's FUBAR." That I like bringing to you. the reality as far as what's happening in the city of New York, the way it's looking right now, it is looking really bad. If you're a New York City resident, it is looking bad because the candidates there, this is 3 just terrible candidates. But people want me to get behind Curtis Sliwa. I don't have real problems with Curtis Sliwa. They want me to get behind him. I've had people push me saying, Joe, you need to get behind Curtis Sliwa. Right now, the 2 of them are basically knocking each other off. Well, we'll get into that. We're going to get a little bit more into that. We should really talk about why it is that this case, there's 3 now, what the left is calling political enemies of Donald Trump, who have been indicted in the last 3 weeks. That would include, obviously, James Comey, Letitia James, and now John Bolton. Of the 3 indictments, Comey's probably in the best position. Letitia James, I think, has problems, and John Bolton is screwed. These are really good cases. These are not cases that are designed to fall by the wayside. We need to break down. We need to really break down what's happening with the John Bolton case, because that case is really good. But before I get into that, before I get into either of those stories, there's a couple of things I wanted to clear off my desk here. One of these is one of the most exciting developments that sort of flew under the radar for many people. You may have flown under the radar for you, is that you might be aware that President Trump decided to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. Today, we see the first fruits of that designation. The very first fruits of that designation. I'm bringing that to you in a moment. First, I got to welcome in Kelly C6380 as a new member of the following. Welcome to new member. I'm going to give you the horn. Welcome to follower status, Kelly C6380. I don't recognize you, so you might be. Sometimes we get new members, and you probably became a follower. You might be confused if you see that. You think to yourself, I'm a follower. What does that even mean? If I'm a follower, does that mean that I'm in some sort of cult? Nope, definitely not at all a cult type of cult. You're just a follower and a member of the following. I am very much not at all the leader of the following. I'm just a host, but the following is just it's a gathering of like-minded individuals, far wiser than the average folk, many of whom you'll see in our chat on a regular basis, who are interested in greater personal growth through community, unity, learning, and thinking. Community, unity, learning, and thinking. That's our way. That is the way. So it shall be written, so it shall be done. So welcome to the following. Kelly C6380. Now, I mentioned Antifa being used as like a designated terrorist organization. Let's break down this charge, which came today. The first persons to basically be struck with this, as this story is brought here.
A new indictment was unsealed today in connection with the shooting at the Prairieland ICE detention facility in Alvarado on the 4th of July. And the FBI director is calling what's in the indictment a first. Our Doug Dunbar is in the newsroom with more on this. Doug.
Hey, Karen, good afternoon. So the indictment, here it is. It's not terribly thick, but there's a lot to it. There's 11 pages in this thing. It has been gone through by our team this afternoon, page by page. So the quick history, the shooting happened back on the night of the 4th of July. This is where an Alvarado police officer was shot in the neck, but did end up surviving. FBI Director Kash Patel posted today on X that it is now the first time that the FBI has arrested someone that the agency has identified as Antifa-aligned anarchist, violent extremists, and terrorism charges now as a result have been brought. So that takes us.
So when you hear that, you're like, I was a little confused, because I was like, if the shooting happened, when did they arrest these people? Unless they arrest them after? Can you arrest them with the designation comes after they're already committed the violent act? Can that relate back? Not sure about that. But I believe the DOJ probably has more awareness about that than I would, but that's the first question I have. Oh, my apologies, Kelly. Nice to see you back. Probably They know what they're doing. But the first question I would have is, if designation as a terrorist organization comes after the alleged violent activity, the first question I would have is, that would seem to be ex post facto, which would be a problem. But yeah. Anyhow, but perhaps there's things they found that were continuing even after the fact, as we're about to hear now.
To the indictment itself, Cameron Arnold and Zachary Evitz both stand accused of providing material support to terrorists, as well as the attempted murder of officers and also employees of the U.S. and discharging a firearm during a crime.
I'm not talking thorough policing. What I'm saying is this. This incident happened on July 4th. Trump designates as a Antifa as a terrorist organization in September. How, or August, certainly after July 4th, can you charge someone for what they did on July 4th with being part of a terrorist organization? I don't see how that would work. That's the question I have. It's not a matter as far as thorough policing. You have to find activity that they engaged in after the designation had been employed, and likely that it's in there. I haven't seen a copy of this indictment yet. I would assume there's something to that effect in there. Otherwise, it would seem to be easily dismissible.
Of violence. In the indictment itself, the Justice Department claims, and I'll quote here, the Antifa cell was heavily armed with over 50 firearms that they purchased in Fort Worth, Grand Prairie, Dallas, and elsewhere. It goes on to say they used an encrypted messaging app to coordinate with each other and use monikers to hide their names. And the indictment continues to claim that some members had done some reconnaissance work, knew the locations of the security cameras at the facility. The indictment also reads that 10 firearms were eventually brought to Prairie Land that night, along with medical kits and fireworks as well. Arnold and Evitz, by the way, were among 10 people in all charged back in July with attempted murder of a federal officer and discharging of a firearm, and a probable cause hearing was held just last month.
So in other words, they already were arrested for that. This is further activity that they engaged in after the shooting, which relates to being part of an Antifa cell.
Original complaint, though, the word Antifa was not used. And what changed since then to now is that last month, President Trump signed an order designating Antifa a domestic terrorist organization now. Antifa, if you don't know,
it can't simply be his designation, because that would be like now tacking on a new charge after they committed the act. There has to be further acts after he makes this designation.
Stands for anti-fascist and is a known far-left protest movement, but it, as of today, has no known or specific leader that anybody knows about or any kind of specific headquarters. So no word yet when Arnold or Evitz will appear in court on this new indictment, but we'll certainly be watching. But new development.
I don't know who the leader of the 3%ers are, but that doesn't mean that there is no leader. Also, you don't need to have a designated leader in order to have a gathering. Just look at the following.
As of today. Karen?
And if Trump goes ahead and starts to decide that he's going to designate the following as some sort of terrorist organization, I will have strong words. It will change my entire position on him entirely. I don't think it's going to happen. It seems unlikely. It seems unlikely. What up, leader? A lot's going on. This is a pretty busy day. I even had Lady Lawgic coming in to me saying, "Did you see Bolton got indicted?" She came to me. She was so excited. She was so excited. Which word of communist do we need? I don't know what you mean, Brian. What do you mean? Which word of communist? Which word of communist? I'm not sure. I'm not sure which word of communist we need. Anyhow, so I wanted to bring that to you because I thought that was important. I thought that was something you needed to know about before your day would continue. You had to be aware of that. What else did I want to bring? There was something else I want to bring to you. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Nope, no, that's not it. Dang it. All right, we're just going to move on into John Bolton. I think that's what my producer is telling me. Just go, Joey, go. Okay, let's do that. Let's get on into John Bolton. If you're unfamiliar with John Bolton, he's someone who takes the law very seriously. former national security advisor for Donald Trump, who basically, the two of them had a bit of a falling out. Apparently, he kept telling Donald Trump to invade everybody all the time. And he ultimately got fired, and he turned very, very bitter against Donald Trump. And here's John Bolton when he learned of Trump being indicted for issues with storing classified documents in Mar-a-Lago.
We'll have to prove it. Then
Notice how we're playing clips of John Bolton. You could almost basically take every one of these clips and just have him talking about himself. Every one of these clips, you could have him, you're kind of talking about yourself here. You're kind of telling on yourself, Johnny boy.
have to prove it. Then he has committed very serious crimes. This is a devastating indictment. I speak here as an alumnus of the Justice Department myself, because not only is it powerful, it's very narrowly tailored. They didn't throw everything up against the wall to see what would stick. This really is a rifle shot, and I think it should be the end of Donald Trump's political career. We'll have to.
The walls are closing in. The walls are closing in. They're closing. The walls are closing in. I got so many John Bolton clips. I got so many clips of him. Here's him talking about Donald Trump with classified documents.
The president had a habit of asking to retain sensitive documents. And from time to time, he did that, and we didn't know what happened to them. And it was always a concern that because he didn't really fully understand the risks to sources and methods and other dangers of revealing classified information, that it might get out to the wrong people. Donald President had
might get out to the wrong people. It might get out to the wrong. You're worried about classified documents getting out to the wrong people, are you? Are you? Is that your concern? We need to bring up his indictment. We need to bring up his indictment. So when you can have a better appreciation for exactly why this guy was indicted, so you can better understand why John Bolton, why I tell you John Bolton is going to jail. John Bolton is going to jail. That's my prediction. He's going to jail. United States of America versus John Robert Bolton II. Grand jury for District of Maryland charges that at all times relevant to this indictment, the defendant, John Robert Bolton II, who we will henceforth just refer to by the name Bolton. We'll just call him that. Why not? Resided in Montgomery County, Maryland. That's why we're in Maryland. And from the 1980s through 2019, served intermittently in a variety of senior U.S. government positions, including as an assistant attorney general in the DOJ, an undersecretary of state in the U.S. Department of State, U.S. ambassador to the UN. His last position in public service from April 2018 to September 2019, so you're basically talking about all of 14 months, as an assistant to the president for the National Security Affairs, which was commonly known as the National Security Advisor. This is the key role here, where he's going to get himself into some trouble. You're going to find some trouble for yourself, Johnny. The role of the NSA varied by presidential administration, but generally, the National Security Advisor assists the president in managing the National Security Council. So that's a pretty important job. National Security Act of 1947, as amended, established the NSC to advise the president with respect to the integration of domestic, foreign, and military policies relating to national security of the United States. So this guy is basically telling him, this is how we're going to defend American interests. This is how you do it. That's what his job was. Consistent with the direction of the president, functions of the NSC included advising the president with respect to the integration of domestic, foreign, and military policies related to national security. See, he's all about the national security. That's what he was doing. Assessing and appraising the objectives, commitments, and risks of the United States in relation to the actual and potential military power of the United States, making recommendations to the president concerning policies on matters of common interest in the departments and agencies of the U.S. government concerned with national security. See generally Title 50. Membership of the NSC included the president. You got this guy, the president, the vice president, the secretary of state, secretary of defense, henceforth called Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth today, the Secretary of Energy, Secretary of Treasury, Director of Office of Pandemic Preparedness and Response Policy, and such other officers the U.S. government as the president may designate. Bolton, his role was as the National Security Advisor to the President of the United States between approximately April 9th, 2018, and when he was kicked down on his keister on September 10th, 2019. National Security Advisors typically advise the president on all exigent threats. Exigent, meaning like exigency is a matter which means of great urgency and importance and immediacy. These are things that are burgeoning. Like these are things that are hot on the boiler, hot on the stove. Exigent threats to the United States and other issues related to national security, including foreign relations, intelligence activities, and decisions regarding the use of military force. And this is where, like I said, he was kind of very much a blunt instrument. Donald Trump has said, I think I have a clip of him saying this that we're going to share with you soon, that he basically was using John Bolton as bad cop for his negotiations because John Bolton had such a well-entrenched reputation for being so much of a bazooka first, ask questions later type of advisor that he knows if he's walking in to a hostile negotiation and the other sees that he's got John Bolton there whispering in his ear, that he's got his his adversary there just being like, oh my God. Even though he would never end up taking his advice, as we know, he was the president of peace. As the National Security Advisor, Bolton had access to some of the U.S. government's most sensitive, closely guarded national security secrets. He was the guy in the know. He has all this access. In order to obtain a U.S. security clearance that granted him access to the highly classified information inherent to the job of the National Security Advisor, Bolton signed numerous non-disclosure agreements. That's standard stuff. You just threw out all your fun coupons. Thank God Joe had a short week. Amen. Thank God. I don't know what your fun coupons are. I don't know what that is, Brian, but it sounds like things I wouldn't so readily throw out. I mean, fun, it's fun. Why would you want to throw out fun coupons? It's coupons for fun. I don't even understand that. Advisor Bolton signed numerous NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, that acknowledge, among other things, that the unauthorized disclosure of classified information, classified secret documents by him, could cause damage or irreparable injury to the United States, and that he would never, ever divulge classified information without prior written notice of authorization from the relevant government agency, that he would never divulge anything that he knew to be sensitive compartmented information, SCI, sensitive compartmented information. You might have heard the term SCIF, that's for sensitive compartmented information facility. It's a safe house, a safe for sensitive compartmented information. Hence the word SCIF, the acronym SCIF. So this is, we're going to call this going forward, we're just going to call it SCI. Should we call it SCI? We'll call it SCI because it's likely to come up a few more times. In attorney draftsmanship, they'll define a term like sensitive compartmented information as SCI, and then henceforward, that's what it's referring to. That way it just reads better. He'll never divulge anything that he knew to be SCI to anyone who's not authorized to receive it without prior written authorization. So he was very clear about the rules. There's no secret. He himself signed off, I will not do this. And that he understood that the unauthorized disclosure of national security information may constitute a violation or violations of United States criminal laws. So he has full knowledge as to the fact that, hey, doing that is criminal. You can go to jail for that. He knew about it. As the National Security Advisor, Bolton was granted a top secret Sky security clearance. Before being appointed to the National Security Advisor, Bolton held a U.S. security clearance in some of his prior U.S. government positions. So it's not like we were foolish for thinking that he might know that, hey, you don't just share secret information. As National Security Advisor, Bolton directed and supervised the work of the NSC staff on behalf of the President of the United States. Bolton had access to and was responsible for safeguarding the most sensitive national defense information, including classified information. He's got access to all that stuff. Due to Bolton's need to have ready access to national defense information, including classified information, while serving in the National Security Advisor in or about September 2018, the U.S. government installed an accredited sensitive compartmented information facility, hence the acronym SCIF that we referenced earlier, within Bolton's home. So he's got it there in his house. He's got his own little safe there in his house, located within the District of Maryland. The SCIF was approved for processing and closed storage of classified information, including information classified up to the top secret level. And after Bolton's term as the NSA as a National Security Advisor ended in around September 10th, the SCIF in Bolton's home was decertified, no longer qualified as something that is a viable place for you to legally house classified documents. It's decertified by U.S. government on about October 16, 2019. From that date through the present, no location within Bolton's home was approved for the lawful storage of classified information. So at that point forward, he can no longer have any classified information on his property. At no point, including the period when Bolton had an accredited SCIF in his home, was Bolton authorized to store or transmit classified information or unclassified systems on unclassified systems, such as AOL, some of you, henceforth, America Online, AOL email account, a Google email account, a non-governmental commercial messaging application, or other non-governmental systems. You got to use the classified designated way of transferring this stuff so that you don't have, foreign assets basically accessing, hacking, and seeing our national secrets. That's kind of basics that he was screaming about in all these interviews, and all these different interviews. He's like, oh, Trump can't be doing that. Trump can't be doing that. Such a doofus. What I love about these indictments is that they keep getting indicted for the very things that they bitched loudest about with respect to President Trump. That's what we're seeing happening here. The very things they whined about, the very things that they spoke out about. When Comey was indicted, I gave you a clip of Comey. Basically, he's indicted for perjury. And I gave you a clip of Comey saying that when a person takes the stand and swears to tell the truth, we trust that they're going to tell the truth. And the only way that we can make sure, since the honor system is not something that we can rely on anymore, the only way that we can ensure that that's upheld and that we're going to get the truth out of people is if we prosecute people who lie under oath. Next thing you know, Comey indicted for perjury. You got Letitia James saying no one is above the law, and I don't care if there's no victim here. That you're committing fraud if you fill out false documents. Indicted for her fraud. And here you have this jackass, John Bolton, who's basically sitting here screaming about Trump and the indictment that he got in Florida for his purported illegal conduct with respect to storing safe documents. And he was mouthing off. And I got a lot more clips I'm going to share with you of John Bolton basically talking like a complete and total jackass with his TDS hatred of Trump about how, he was always someone who was reckless with documents. And we're going to see just how reckless this clown is. You're about to see, we're getting to the good stuff here. While National Security Advisor, Bolton learned national defense classified information through a variety of means, including intelligence briefings, intelligence reports. He had meetings with members of the U.S. intelligence community, including the NSA, CIA, U.S. military and foreign government officials. So he's got all these secret meetings. In addition to having SCIF, having a home skiff while national security advisor, Bolton also had access to a variety of secure telecommunication systems that he would use to discuss and communicate classified information. So if he's, strategizing, how is it that we're going to approach a situation with a hostile government? He's not just getting on his Android phone and just texting out on WhatsApp or whatever, but there's actually a secure means to ensure that it's not going to be intercepted by the wrong folk. Moreover, Bolton had access as the NSA to classified spaces in the White House, the Eisenhower Executive Office Building, other locations in D.C., and elsewhere, where he could readily learn, read, and discuss classified and sensitive information. So he's got all this access to all this stuff here, all this ways of transmitting it so he can do his job properly. And that's so you can discuss this stuff with others who are authorized to know, receive, discuss, and make decisions based on such information. Use it properly. You have to use it properly. From about April 9th, 2018, through at least August 22, 2025, Bolton abused his position as the National Security Advisor. Wow. So he was working in this position. Let's just review here for a moment. Okay. I just want to review this for a moment. He was hired in April 9, 2018. He was there for a year and a half. And from April 9th, from the day he got in there, the whole time he was working there, they say, through August 22nd, 2025, he abused his position as a National Security Advisor by sharing more than 1,000 pages of information about his day-to-day activities as the National Security Advisor, including information relating to the national defense, which was classified up to the top secret sky level with two unauthorized individuals, namely individuals 1 and 2. We're going to see these individuals 1 and 2 throughout this entire thing. I would assume that individuals 1 and 2 are family members. I heard references to being his wife and daughter. I cannot confirm that that's who individuals 1 and 2 are, but we're going to see a lot about him basically, blah, 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 to individuals 1 and 2. So I'm going to assume, I think it's a pretty safe assumption that it is, as some of you were saying, wife and daughter, individuals 1 and 2. Bolton also unlawfully retained documents, writings, notes relating to national defense, including information classified up to the top secret sky level as home in Montgomery County, Maryland. Individual 1, whose identity is known to the grand jury but will not be known to those of us who are reading this document, was related to Bolton, reside in District, Maryland, never held a U.S. security clearance, and was not authorized to access, receive, or maintain. So individual 1, Bolton's not supposed to be sharing information relating to his work as the National Security Advisor. Individual 2, also related to Bolton, never held U.S. security clearance, not authorized to access, receive, or maintain classified information. So sharing stuff with these folks just because they're related to you doesn't mean that's kosher. There's no exception for your wife, daughter, or other relatives. From on or about April 9, 2018 through on or about September 15, 2019, on a regular basis, Bolton sent diary-like entries to individuals 1 and 2 that contain information classified up to top secret sky level. What the hell is wrong with you? It's just blah, 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 blah. Bolton wrote many of these diary-like entries by transcribing his handwritten notes from his day's activities into word processing documents, which he then electronically sent to individuals 1 and 2 through a commercial, non-governmental messaging application. So he's breaking the law as National Security Advisor. He's breaking protocols for reasons and sharing it with information that information with persons who were never supposed to have in the first place. On other occasions, Bolton used his personal non-governmental email accounts, such as email accounts hosted by AOL and Google, to email information classified up to the top secret sky level to individuals 1 and 2 at their personal email accounts. So he's just basically, he's like, oh my God, you can't believe what happened when we're having this meeting about what to do with Putin. What an idiot. At no point did Bolton have authorization to store or transmit classified information that he sent to individuals 1 and 2 via his personal electronic devices and accounts, nor did at any time individuals 1 and 2 have authorization to know or store the classified information that Bolton gave them. No one knows what the hell he's doing here. He's an idiot. He's just a doofus. He's a dunderhead. At some unknown time, no later than August 22nd, 2025, many of the diary-like entries in Bolton's time as National Security Advisor, including entries that contain national defense information classified up to top secret sky level, were printed and stored in Bolton's personal residence in Montgomery County, Maryland. Digital copies of some of the diary-like entries that contain national defense information classified up to the top secret sky level were also stored on personal electronic devices used by Bolton and others located in Bolton's personal residence in Montgomery County, Maryland. It's so funny now, by the way, just as an aside, because the left now is left defending John Bolton. They hate John Bolton, but they hate Trump more. So now they have to defend John Bolton. Yeah, this is what his daughter should have been saying. Why are you trauma dumping all this stuff about work? Oh my God. This is worse than Clinton protocol because he's intentionally sharing it with family members. After Bolton's time as National Security Advisor ended on September 10, 2019, he just got worse. Bolton's personal residence was not authorized to store classified information in physical electronic formats. In case you're wondering, by the way, statute of limitations, like how long do they have to go after him? Because most of the time you hear it's 5 years. These violations, 10 years. You got 10-year statute of limitations. Penalty for violating each violation, 10 years. Up to 10 years. No minimum, up to 10 years. On or about September 10, 2019, U.S. government personnel retrieved all classified equipment and marked classified documents that were stored in Bolton's home skiff. Here's the other problem he has, because Maryland is fairly liberal. He's well known for being a Republican. He's really in trouble. He's going to jail. He's not. I'm telling you right now, I think that he's going to be tried, he's going to be convicted, and he will spend the rest of his life in prison. That's my expectation here. And he will die there a bitter old man, cursing out Donald Trump. As well he should. During that visit, Bolton was told they can no longer store classified information in his home at no point during Bolton's time the National Security Advisor or afterwards, including when his home skiff was decommissioned in or about September 2019. Did Bolton tell the U.S. government personnel that he had sent national defense and classified information to his friends and family? He put them like on a friends and family plan over commercial email and messaging services. He never told us that. And that such information was stored on personal electronic devices and in personal electronic accounts belonging to or accessible by himself or individuals 1 and 2. At some point, when Bolton left government service in September 2019, and at some point between September 2019 and July 2021, a cyber actor believed to be associated with the Islamic Republic of Iran hacked Bolton's personal email account and gained unauthorized access to the classified and national defense information in that account, which Bolton had previously emailed to individuals 1 and 2. So there you go. Thank you so much for giving all our stuff to, like, our good friends like Iran. Great job there. What the heck? Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes. Yes. He's going to prison. I'm telling you, he's going to prison. Idiot. A representative for Bolton notified the U.S. government of the hack on around July 2021, but did not tell the U.S. government that the account contained national defense information, including classified information that Bolton had placed in the account from his time as the national security advisor. Nor did Bolton, and you would think, if anything, like he would hope that the Biden government would be friendly to him. Maybe he didn't think they would be that friendly to him because the Democrats weren't really big fans of his in 2021. Nor did Bolton's representatives tell the U.S. government that Bolton had shared some of that national defense information, including classified information, with individuals 1 and 2 via personal email and non-governmental messaging applications. So he's basically blah, 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 blah to his wife and daughter under that they're never supposed to have it through means that he's never supposed to ever use. And then it ends up in Iran's hands. And then when he has to expose and tell the government, hey, I think I might have been hacked by Iran, he doesn't tell them just how bad the problem is. And he's covering up for his own F up. Wow. Executive Order 13526 govern the classification of national security information in any form may be classified if it is owned by, produced by, or for, or is under the control of the U.S. government and could, if disclosed, cause one or more such specified levels of harm in the United States and is classified by or under the Original Classification Authority, OCA, who determines that its unauthorized disclosure reasonably could be expected to result in damage to the national security. And that's what we're going to be hearing all about, the damage to the national security. OCA is also called, that's in the trial, we'll hear about that. OCA is also called original classifiers, where individuals authorized to classify information and make classification decisions, pursuant to Executive Order 12958. Signed on April 17, 1995, amended March 25th, 2003, and Executive 13526, which was done by Obama in 2009. The national, I always forget this number 13526 because he changed all the rules, and this came up a lot. 13526. This came up a lot during Trump's Florida case. The national security information was classified as top secret, secret, or confidential. Those are your 3 levels of classification. National security information was information owned by, produced by, or produced for and under the control of the U.S. government and was classified as follows. It's top secret. How do you get the top secret level? If the unauthorized disclosure of the information reasonably could be expected to cause exceptionally grave damage to the national security. It's considered secret if it can be exposed, if the exposure of that information would cause serious damage, and it's considered confidential if the unauthorized disclosure would be expected to cause damage. Those are your 3. So there's damage, serious damage, or exceptionally grave damage for top secret. Under Executive Order 13526, that's the one that Obama put in, damage to national security meant harm to national defense and foreign relations of the United States from the unauthorized disclosure of information, taking into consideration such aspects of the information as the sensitivity, value, utility, or provenance of that information. Provenance, if you're unfamiliar with that term, is a reference to how it's passed down from one level down to the next. Term provenance comes up in the art world a lot, like when establishing the provenance of painting, that it actually comes from Michelangelo. So the provenance will be like, okay, so it's owned by this person, and then came from, who got it from that person, who got it from that person, who got it from Michelangelo. So too in this, when we're talking about provenance, it's the passing of information between different persons and establishing the legitimacy of something through how it's handed down. Classification marking no foreign. It says no foreign, in case you read too quickly, indicated that the information was not releasable to foreign nationals. Dissemination of information was limited to U.S. persons. So someone who's a foreign national is we're not worrying about we're not giving it out to illegal aliens here, or even legal ones. Classification marked Rel 2 indicated that the information was releasable only to foreign nationals of specified countries, international organizations, or multinational forces. And then you have Rel 2 USA GBR, which means that can be that we're only sharing it with the US and Great Britain. So there's a special designation for certain information that I guess we share more with Great Britain than with other countries. Classification marked Orcon indicated dissemination and extraction of classified information was controlled by the originator, and classified information relating to intelligence sources, methods, and analytical processes were designated as SCI. Remember, that was the sensitive compartmented information, and subject to additional controls such as SI and HCS controls described further below. What is SI? SI was an SCI control system that indicated information was special intelligence. And the intelligence information was derived from the monitoring of foreign communications. This we got by spying by others than the intended recipients. So or we hacked in and basically got this information that we successfully eavesdropped against from enemies. SI was intended to protect signals intelligence, SIGINT, including communication electronics intelligence. The National Security Agency was responsible for providing foreign SIGINT to U.S. policymakers and military forces. So, classification marking HCS. So we had two different SCI control systems. One is SI, Special Intelligence, where they're protecting the signals intelligence. And then you have HCS, that's a control system indicating the information came from human intelligence. So SIGINT is referring to things that we sort of pick up and decrypt and pick up that way. Human intelligence is when you have confidential sources, or HUMINT. Operations, information acquired from clandestine and or uniquely sensitive human sources, methods, and certain technical collection capabilities, technologies, and methods linked to or supportive of HUMINT. Okay, so we're breaking down, and it gets a little technical here, I understand, but they're breaking down the different forms of top secret, secret, or classified information, and how its sourcing would come either through SIGINT or HUMINT. Into intelligence. So it's a signal intelligence versus being human intelligence. It's computerized versus people. SCI was to be processed, stored, used, or discussed at an accredited SCIF, and only individuals with appropriate security clearance and additional SCI permissions were authorized to have access to that information. The National Institute of Standards and Technology defined a SCIF as an area, room, group of rooms, buildings, or installation certified and accredited as meeting the Director of National Intelligence Security Standards for processing, storage, and or discussion of sensitive compartmented information. So that's, and if you're going to basically be having conversations about this sort of thing, you have to meet the bare minimum threshold qualifications that our Director of National Intelligence says, okay, this is going to be secure. It's not going to be easily hacked by some rogue state. Intelligence Community Directive 705, titled Sensitive Compartmented Information Facilities, or SCIF, signed on May 26, 2010, by the Director of National Intelligence, provide that all SCI must be processed, stored, used, or discussed in an accredited SCIF. You can't start talking about this stuff outside of SCIFs. We want to make sure that if there's going to be any sort of transference of information that's top secret, secret, or confidential, that's going to happen in a place that we can be confident is not going to be easily eavesdropped or hacked. Pursuant to Executive Order 13526, again, that's the Obama one, information classified at any level could only be lawfully accessed by persons determined by an appropriate U.S. government official to be eligible for access to classified information who had signed an approved non-disclosure agreement. The reason that they're breaking all this down in this indictment is they want to explain to you how it is that he was violating these protocols and why it is that he should be deemed criminally liable. So this classified information would be, it's only eligible for access to classified information those who had signed an approved non-disclosure agreement, received security clearance. Whoops, that was a bad one. Received security clearance and had a need to know the classified information, as in not Mrs. Bolton. Classified information can only be stored in an approved facility and container. Let's get into what this jackass did wrong. Okay. Let's break it down now. As set forth above, between April 9, 2018 and September 15, 2019, he sent his individuals 1 and 2, his 2 relatives. We don't know more than that, but one thing we do know based on this being alleged here is he sent 2 of his relatives contemporaneous notes on a regular basis, describing in detail his day-to-day activities at the end as the National Security Advisor. This is a no-no. He's already doing something wrong. Bolton often referred to these notes as his diary, sent them to these 2 individuals over his personal non-governmental email accounts or a messaging application. Information contained in these notes included detailed information Bolton learned from meetings with senior members of the U.S. government, intelligence briefings from members of the intelligence community and military, discussions with foreign leaders and foreign intelligence and military organizations, and intelligence products and reports which Bolton had access to because of his role. Portions of the information contained in that diary and in the diary entries that Bolton sent to his 2 loved ones were national defense information, including information classified at the top secret sky level. In other words, can cause serious, grave serious damage to the United States if got into the wrong hands. Throughout his time as National Security Advisor, Bolton took detailed notes documenting his day-to-day meetings, activities, and briefings. Frequently, Bolton hand-wrote these notes on yellow notepads throughout his day at the White House complex or in other secure locations, and then later rewrote his notes in word processing documents and electronic device. There's no reason for you to be doing this. This is something that you only do if you're an idiot. The notes that Bolton sent to his 2 loved ones using the improper methodology, their personal email accounts, a messaging account, described in detail Bolton's daily activities as the National Security Advisor, including national defense, classified information that he learned during his time as National Security Advisor. This guy going to jail. He is going to jail. Often, Bolton's notes describe the secure setting or environment which he learned. Oh, this is good. This is good. So when Iran hacks you, they know exactly, where they should be looking next time, because you're telling them what our methodology is. Where he learned the national defense and classified information that he was memorializing in his notes. For example, a description of classified information related to a foreign government's activities might begin with the intel briefer said. Or a description of classified information learned during a military briefing might begin with, while in the Situation Room, I learned. The notes that Bolton sent to individuals 1 and 2, his 2 loved ones, often began with the words, "Dear honey, today we decided that we're not going to invade Russia. I begged Trump to invade Russia, and he kept saying no." He's such an idiot. The notes in Bolton sent his 2 loved ones often began with the words individual 1's initials or individual's 2 initials start here. In at least one communication, Bolton also referred to individuals 1 and 2 as his editors. Oh, this gets even better. He's writing his diary because he's planning on writing a book. Oh, he calls them his editors. Oh, that's really nice. He did ultimately write a book, but he was writing his book while he's sitting there as a national security advisor. Oh my God. Wow. At this point, if you're his lawyer, you're basically like, how do we plead this out? How do we plead this out? This guy's going to jail. Some of the information related to the national defense that Bolton communicated, delivered, and transmitted to individuals 110-2 is described in further detail below in the counts 1 through 8. On or about April 8th, 2018, day before Bolton officially began his duties as national security advisor, individual 1, which I'm assuming his wife, created a group chat with Bolton and individual 2. Oh, this is nice. Let's have a little family meeting. About like our international policy, our top secret international policy. Yeah, you can picture John Bolton going into Trump. He's like, look, I know what you're saying, but even my wife agrees that Vladimir here is not someone that we can trust, and we need to bomb him today. Even my daughter told me this. I spoke to my barber. My barber tells me this. Idiot. Creates a group chat. Oh my God. Oh my God. This just gets worse. On a non-governmental messaging application, individual 2 asked the group, why are we using this now? We can just talk about it over Thanksgiving dinner. Why are we using this now? The encryption, we're so used to doing things without the encryption. It's annoying having to deal with keeping the information encrypted. To which individual responded, yep, why not? Bolton then responded, for diary in the future. Oh, so like, let's make sure we're all on the same page here. I'm going to be sending you a lot more notes. There's more notes to come. You heard that Mike Pence might be implicated? You heard that? He might be. I don't think he's related to the Bolton thing. I saw something similar to that too. I saw something to that effect. I don't want to be someone who's a gossiper without there being like, reliable sourcing. So I don't easily see today, as of October 17, 2025, the relationship between Bolton and Pence as it relates to these specific indictments. So I will not rule out that Pence may stand to be prosecuted. We know that he held on to documents, which he later admitted was a big oopsies when the whole document thing came out with Trump and Biden. So he too had his own little oopsies. But he's in a much better position, Mike Pence, than John Bolton. He's in a much better position. In the sense that the under Executive Order 13526, that Obama executive order relating to confidential documents, he gave authority, Obama did, to the vice president to declassify. I think, as I recall, he gave the vice president a great deal of authority, far more than anyone else had. So Obama gave Vice President Biden a great deal of authority, and that was the same EO was in effect through today. So it applied to Pence as well. These are authorities that John Bolton did not have. So let's get into more of his stupidity. On or about April 22nd, 2018, Bolton sent individuals 1 and 2. So understand this: he's been on the job for less than 2 weeks. Right? He came onto the job on April 9th. April 22nd, he's sending individuals 1 and 2 via non-governmental messaging application, a 25-page document which described information that Bolton learned while National Security Advisor. The guy hasn't even been in the job for 2 weeks, and he's already breaching his duties. On about April 22nd, same day, individual 2 sent Bolton and individual 1 a message that stated, diary finished. Individual 1 also asked Individual 2 whether Individual 2 was going to call tonight, to which Individual 2 responded, "Am I supposed to?" Individual 1 then wrote, "Diaries take time to write, but phone conversations take less time. So let's have conversations about this over the phone. Who knows who's listening? Let's all have like family meetings about this." Wow. Wow. He's so cooked. He is so cooked. He is so cooked. He is so done. I'm checking over in the ghetto and the in locals, making sure I miss Russ vote terminated. Johnny Reb is sharing stuff with me. I don't know why he's giving me a Russ vote terminator. I guess because he's excited about people being fired by Russ Vought. That's pretty funny. I don't know if you can see that. Can you guys see that? Gossip piece. That's pretty funny. Well done. Well done there, brother. All right. On about July 15th, 2018, Individual 2, I'm assuming his daughter was his editor. I'm assuming that Individual 1 is his wife, Individual 2 is his daughter, and his daughter was his editor. In fact, let's check out with Grok whether let's see if ChatGPT. We'll do a little research here. What role, if any, did John Bolton's daughter play in editing his book? Let's see what we got. So ChatGPT isn't so sure it's the daughter. Yeah. Indictment references individuals 1 and 2 as being related to Bolton. Also refers to them as editors. Who are the most likely candidates? And I mean, ABC News says sources told ABC News that relatives referred to our wife and daughter. Gretchen Smith Bolton and Jennifer Sarah Bolton. Gretchen and Jennifer. All right. Daniel, this is what you're not understanding. Daniel here is saying all it takes is one TDS juror. This is what you're not understanding. A TDS sufferer views John Bolton as an extension of Trump. This is why he's screwed. Because he's viewed as a Republican. A TDS sufferer likely is not, I'm telling you, could it happen? Yes, obviously. This is not, it's not the sort of thing that a TDS sufferer is looking to go out on a limb on behalf of John Bolton, the way they would for Letitia James or James Comey even. James Comey is sort of more in that John Bolton category. This is not like going after Biden or Obama. So it's not even like going after Adam Schiff. Isn't it complete to keep his wife and daughter out of jail and knowingly involved in his crimes? He might. And yeah, he is a sociopath. Because we're going to see through the course of these charges, they know what they're doing here is illegal. They all know. It's not just him. And this is why Kimmy might be correct here in her assessment. They all know this is illegal. They're sitting there saying, why are we suddenly doing this now on secure? Why are we using secure methodology now? You know what you're doing. You know it's top secret stuff. If someone who had very high government clearance just started sharing information with you, wouldn't you be saying to yourself, this is illegal, I'm not supposed to have this information? That wouldn't cross your mind? On or about July 15th, 2018, Jennifer, I'm going to assume individual 2 is Jennifer Bolton, the daughter, sent Bolton and individual 1 a message that said, do we get a diary today? And then the wife responds, don't think he can do it on this trip. Bolton later added, too much going on. I can't share top secret information with you right now. I've done much of Friday in London because I didn't take many notes and want to get it down before I forgot. So we got to make sure I got all this down because I'm a forgetful SOB and I'm worried I'm not going to be able to put this in a book. What a jackass. On or about July 23rd, Bolton sent individuals 1 and 2 messages that said, more stuff coming. More stuff coming. A few minutes later, Bolton sent individuals 1 and 2 a 24-page document, which described information Bolton learned while National Security Advisor. Less than 3 hours later, Bolton sent individuals 1 and 2 a follow-up message that said, none of which we talk about. This is all top secret stuff. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell your hairdresser about this one. In response, individual 1 said, shh. Oh, they're making a joke out of national security. Oh, that's nice. Keep making jokes about national security. Individual 2 then said, the only interesting thing is what senior U.S. government official might have said from foreign language interpreter, which you didn't tell us. Oh, so you're giving us the really boring confidential information. Don't give us the boring. We need the juicy confidential information. These people are traitors. They're traitors. That's what they are. They're traitors. Approximately 2 minutes later, individual 1 sent a message response that said, more is to come with cloak and dagger or something, so he says. He's going to jail. This is why I tell it, stop worrying. Don't worry about this. This guy's going to jail. He's going to jail. On or about September 23rd, 2018, Bolton sent individuals 1 and 2 a 10-page document, which we call Document A, which contained information Bolton learned while National Security Advisor, including information classified as top secret. Top secrets. Not just secret or confidential. Let me give you the really juicy stuff. On or about November 23rd, 2018, Bolton sent individuals 1 and 2 a 29-page document, which contained information that Bolton learned while National Security Advisor, including information classified as the secret no foreign level. So secret no foreign means we can't. This is so secret. You got to be like basically a daughter of the American Revolution to get it and have clearance. You can't. No foreigners. This is a secret no foreigner levels. We're not even letting British people see this. It's not even a race thing. This is like, no, you can't. Even if you're white, you got to be American. On or about December 2nd, 2018, Bolton sent individuals 1 and 2 a 15-page document containing information Bolton learned while National Security Advisor. Individual 2 said diary arrived, and it said new message said, but no commentary on Foreign Country 1. Oh man, we didn't get to hear all about like what we're doing with Syria. Judicial system article I sent on administration sentiment on arrest in Foreign Country 1. In response, Bolton sent a message that said, I'm working on it. I'll get you more stuff. Don't worry. I'll get you more stuff. It's coming. This guy's going to jail. On about December 4th, 2018, individual 2 said the truth is his wife and daughter. Whoever individual 1 and 2 are, everyone's assuming it's the wife and daughter, they should go to jail too. They're terrible people. Sent additional messages to Bolton and individual 1 regarding the arrest of an individual in Foreign Country 1. Individual 2 told Bolton, we're assuming is the daughter, so I'm just going to refer to individual 2 as daughter. So daughter tells Bolton and Bolton wife, that the arrested individual in Foreign Country 1 was being interrogated and that a relative of the arrested individual would be in D.C. if useful to get him in front of senior U.S. government official. And else, Dora's giving him tips. He's giving him tips. Oh, isn't this so nice? So nice. He's so helpful. How did John Bolton get fired? I don't even know. Oh, he's getting tips about how to do his job from his daughter. This is good. Okay. I guess maybe, maybe he's been sharing secrets with her for long enough that she now is giving him all sorts of tips on how to do his job. In response to individual 2's message that law enforcement in Foreign Country was interrogating the rest individual 1, the wife, sent a message that said, "Ye gods, next thing they'll pull a Khashoggi on him." James Khashoggi was a Saudi journalist who was murdered in 2018 in the consulate of Saudi Arabia in Istanbul, Turkey. In response, the daughter sent back a message that said, but nickname for Bolton has no feedback. We don't get to hear what Daddy thinks about this. Isn't Daddy going to tell us? Wow. On or about January 2nd, 2019, Bolton sent individuals 1 and 2 another 22-page document which contained information that he got, his top secret information, which a message that said, stuff coming. Hard copy at home for Honey Bear. I don't know what the nickname of individual 1 is. We're going to assume that her nickname is Honey Bear. Greedy Gretchen. That's what we'll call her. Hard copy at home for Greedy Gretchen. Yes, it's a Three's Company reference. On or about January 13, 2019, Bolton sent individuals 1 and 2 another 24-page document, document C. Also, top secret stuff. About a week later, on January 21st, Bolton sent individuals 1 and 2 another 20-page document, which contained information that he's not supposed to be sharing. Sent an accompanying message that said, stuff coming to cheer you up. Oh, you've been so miserable that I haven't been sharing enough top secret information with you. Don't worry, I got more for you. I got more for you, honey. Don't worry. An individual needs to figure out how to do corrections for the book that I'm writing. This guy's so stupid. He's so stupid. In response, Greedy Gretchen sent a message that said, read Pumpkin's thing. I need to also. Individual 1, Greedy Gretchen, also said, I have edits, para by para, not sure how to send them. Mostly typos, caps, incomplete sentences, but I'm writing your book as it's going on here. Bolton then asked, did you print it out? To which Greedy Gretchen responded, I read it on the phone, took notes. They all need to go to jail. They're all equally culpable here. They know what they're doing. They're all culpable. On or about June 2nd, 2019, Bolton sent his wife and daughter a 10-page document which contained information that Bolton learned. It's also, again, top secret. July 6, 2019, more top secret. A 77-page document. Again, individuals 1 and 2. On July 28th, again, sending 1 and 2. A message that said, stuff coming, but only for my baby daughter. Only for her to read a hard copy when Greedy Gretchen is back in the U.S. So, again, this is all assuming that this is his daughter and wife that we're talking about here. His daughter is Gretchen. His wife is Gretchen. His daughter is Jennifer. On or about August 18, 2019, we got another shipment for individuals 1 and 2, 50 pages of top secret documents. On about September 8th, another shipment, 47 pages going to wife and daughter, top secret stuff. On September 15th, 2019, Bolton sent individuals 1 and 2 a 6-page document, which contained information that was top secret. In a related message, Bolton told, stuff coming, which sounds almost sick at this point. To which individual 2, we assume his daughter, said, dramatic ending, but will there be a new diary? Ooh, we got to write a second book here. To which individual 1 responded, nope on diary, now book writing. Wow. Bolton then sent a message that said, talking with a book publisher because they have a right of first refusal. This guy is such scum, such utter. He's a traitor. He's a traitor. He's really a traitor. These are light charges. On about September 24, 2019, 14 days after he was no longer employed, Bolton left a messaging chat group with individuals 1 and 2 that he used to send more than 1,000 pages of notes memorializing his time as National Security Advisor. Relevant activities before and after Bolton's tenure as National Security Advisor ends. So he published The Room Where It Happened, a White House memoir that he had been writing throughout the entire time, apparently. On or about September 11, 2019, he celebrated that day. His tenure as National Security Advisor ended. A literary agent representing Bolton sent an email to a book publisher describing a book about Bolton's time as the National Security Advisor that Bolton intended to publish. And that email, literary agent stated, among other things, that Bolton's forthcoming book would include Bolton's impressions of his time as National Security Advisor in a meticulously observed manner, with direct quotes from all parties based on contemporaneous notes. And that should have been the tip-off right there that he was doing all sorts of illegal stuff. 2 months earlier, and while Bolton was still the National Security Advisor, on about July 19, 2019, literary agent sent Bolton a letter stating that it was with enthusiasm that literary agent was again exploring a book with Bolton. Ultimately, Bolton earned more than $1 million by selling the rights to publish his book about his time as a National Security Advisor. On or about December 12th, 2019, Bolton began sending drafts of portions of his book to his publisher and literary agent for review and comments. Bolton sent these drafts via a non-governmental messaging application. Over the winter holidays in 2019, Bolton and his editors exchanged drafts and comments relating to his forthcoming book. On or about December 30th, Bolton submitted a manuscript of his book titled The Room Where It Happened, and for required pre-publication review process, and based on initial review of the manuscript by NSC, the U.S. government concluded and told Bolton that the initial manuscript contained significant amounts of highly classified information that needed to be removed. So they said, what are you doing? What are you doing? On or about June 23rd, Bolton's book, The Room Where It Happened, was published, became readily available to the public. None of the classified national defense information charged in counts 1 through 18 was published. So he didn't publish that stuff. Now, that's important because Bolton's defense is, they told me that what I put in the book is fine. but this is not what he's being charged with. On or about June 16, 2021, the United States and Bolton enter a settlement agreement resolving civil litigation related to Bolton's book. As a condition of that settlement agreement, Bolton agreed to provide the U.S. all materials in his possession, custody, or control that may contain any classified information. Bolton also agreed that his obligation to return classified material extends to any written electronic drafts, regardless of whether those materials were received from the U.S. or generated by he himself, Bolton himself. So he says, I'm going to give back all the stuff that I have. That's what he said he was going to do all the way back on June 16, 2021, 4 years ago. On or about July 6, 2021, Representative Bolton contacted the FBI via email to alert the FBI that an entity believed by Bolton's representative to be the Islamic Republic of Iran had obtained unauthorized access to one of Bolton's personal email accounts. In the email to the FBI, Bolton's representative stated that evidently someone has gone into Ambassador Bolton's personal email, calling him Ambassador Bolton, not NSA advisor, not National Security Advisor. He's just an ambassador. Someone got into Ambassador Bolton's personal email account. It looks as though it's someone in Iran. We're not sure exactly. All we can make out from the message was Durka, 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 but our gut says it's Iran. On or about July 28, 2021, Bolton's representative emailed the FBI again to report that Bolton's representatives had received the following email: that there's a prince from Nigeria who wants money from him. On or about July 25th, 2021, which representative believed was associated with the hack of Bolton's account, quote, I do not think you'd be interested in the FBI being aware of the leaked content of John's email, some of which had been attached, especially after the recent acquittal. This could be the biggest scandal since Hillary's emails was leaked, but this time on the GOP side. Oh, they're trying to blackmail the GOP. Contact me before it's too late. So we effed up, and I want you to cover up for us so you don't embarrass the GOP. That's this scummy guy who's yelling about Trump's sloppiness with documents. Bolton's representative told the FBI that the representative was just sending you the text, not documents attached, since there might be sensitive information in them. Why does he still have sensitive information? A day later, on about July 29, 2021, Bolton's representative told the FBI that Bolton would be deleting the contents of his personal email account that had been hacked. Oh, that's so good. To make sure all the barn doors are closed after the cows are like 4 states away. Make sure they're all locked. Lock all the barn doors now. Idiot. Doofus. On or about August. Let me catch up with some of these chats. Governor Cheddar, good to see you, brother. This is straight espionage. Emails are merely in wife and kids' names. This is a vector, or it takes secure info and make it not secure. Most likely Bolton gets executed for treason. Well, there's no charge that they're looking to execute him for. There's no treason charge yet. But this sounds terrible. This sounds really terrible. Thank you for the subs last night, everyone. I'll see you next week. Cult is love. The cult is life. Sin. I don't know who this is. And Kimmy says, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Make sure you guys sign up to say. Okay. June 12, 2018. Trump, Kim, Singapore, February 27, 28, 2019. Trump, Kim, Summit, Vietnam. June 3rd, 2019. Trump crosses DMZ. Any dates line up? Oh, you're wondering if that was... I don't know. You want me to start going back through dates? There's a lot of dates we had here. There's a lot of dates here, Kim. There's a lot of dates. A lot of dates. They do go in order though. So maybe we can see if we find anything here from June of 2018. No. February 2019. February 2019. February 20th. No. And then June 30th. I guess not. I guess it's not related to Vietnam or Korea. Assuming your dates are accurate, which I have no reason to question. All right. On or about August 5th, 2021, Bolton received another electronic message related to the hack of his personal email account, which said, "Okay, John, as you want, apparently, we'll disseminate the expurgated sections of your book by reference to your leaked email." At no point did Bolton tell the FBI that while he was the national security advisor, he had used the hacked email account to send individuals 1 and 2, which, again, in case you joined late, so make sure you're saying it's not merely wiping his names. The document here alleges that individuals 1 and 2 are related to him. They don't say wife, they don't say daughter. They do say 2 related persons. 2 persons related. So there's been a lot of speculation as his wife and daughter by CBS, Wall Street Journal, and ChatGPT. So he never said that the hacked email account sent to individuals 1 and 2 documents relating to national defense, including classified documents, nor did he tell the FBI the hackers had this information. So he knew Iran might have top secret information, but to cover his own keister, the dude never bothered telling the U.S. government exactly how sensitive the information was. Then the FBI finds documents related to national defense in Bolton's home. On about August 22nd, 2025, the FBI does a raid on Bolton's house in Maryland and his office in D.C. Part of the material seized from Bolton's Maryland home included electronic files showing Bolton transmitted his diary entries, many of which related to national defense and classified documents, to individuals 1 and 2 through this non-government messaging application. During the court-authorized search of his home on August 22nd, the FBI also seized hard copy printed versions of many Bolton's diary entries, including documents that are classified. Some of the documents related to national defense that the FBI found in Bolton's home on August 22nd. His public statements on the handling of classified information from at least on about September 2nd, 2016 through April 25th, 2025, Bolton has made numerous public statements demonstrating his understanding of how to properly handle classified information. This is not a guy who's a novice, and the potential consequences of failing to do so. We're going to see some of those clips shortly. We're almost done here. On about January 16th, in a media interview, Bolton stated in response to a question about allegations that a senior U.S. government official had communicated sensitive government information. He said, "Look, as I said before, I believe it's still to this day. If I had done the State Department what senior U.S. government official did, I'd be in prison right now." Wow, like Nostradamus, this guy. On or about March 31st, 2025, a media interview, Bolton stated in response to questions about allegations that a senior U.S. government official had communicated sensitive government information using non-government messaging application. This is what this freaking hypocrite said. Let's hear what he said. Well, I mean, to me, I can't even imagine opening a Signal chat group. This is, you know what's happening here? You want to know what's happening here? Let me tell you what's happening here. They're hoisting him on the Signalgate petard. Because remember when Signalgate happened and everyone was like, "Oh my God, can you believe what happened with Pete Hegseth and Secretary of State Rubio, that they had the Signal chat? And who's one of the first jackasses to come out of the woodwork on that? Yeah, John Bolton." And what he said was, I can't even imagine opening a Signal chat group or a Telegram chat group or anything else. People say, but the communications are encrypted. Well, that's fine. We have a national security agency that has big computers chugging along trying to de-encrypt any system that we want to try and get into, and adversaries do as well. Damage that's done is that we've shown weakness in our operational security that our adversaries will try to exploit. He knows at this point in his life, this is what a freaking hypocrite jerk this guy is. He knows that he's done this. He knows he's been hacked by Iran. He knows he covered up to the government just how much information they had access to because he was doing much worse than this. What a hypocritical scumbag. What did we build in the world's what did we build the world's most secure telecommunications capability for if not to use it on sensitive matters? And once you're on a secure telephone, U.S. government secure telephone, you don't worry what the level classification you're discussing. You're talking about an article in the morning newspaper or top secret code word items, and you're secure. When you're on Signal, did no one in that conversation for days ever say maybe we ought to get off this and get back on classified system? I'm just without words to understand how this could have happened. You D-bag. On about April 18th, in a media interview, Bolton's statement responds to a question about allegations that a senior U.S. government official had communicated sensitive government information, on a non-governmental messaging application. He said, "Initially, I was totally without words. I couldn't find a way to express how stunned, I say, that anybody would do this. You simply don't use commercial means of communication, whether it's supposedly an encrypted app or not, for these kinds of discussions." This guy was using AOL. This guy is using technology that is older than most of my children. Okay? That's what this guy is doing. I have grandkids. I have children. In fact, I will go further and tell you, AOL technology, I assume it's been improved since then. I have a child who has 4 kids. That's how long AOL been around. She was born long after AOL came along. Unbelievable. These guys using AOL. It's unbelievable. Hey, what is this guy thinking? The audacity. Just the sheer audacity of this guy. It's unbelievable. You're unbelievable, Johnny. You're unbelievable. You don't know where they're going to go. You could start off talking about a newspaper article, but you obviously get into classified material. I understand why you need to have group chats, but I've been saying this place for the group chats is the situation room. So that way you can take notes and share it with your editors, like I did. Where everybody's in a place, some people might have to appear via secure video teleconference facilities. And we got great capacity to do that. But having chat groups where you're writing 2 or 3 sentences, this is not what you would call sophisticated national security analysis at work and on an unsecured channel. It's just there's no excuse for it. No excuse for it. The guy literally is taking notes and sharing them, 77-page reports with his wife and daughter on AOL. What a clown. What a clown. An interview on March 26, 2025, Bolton discussed the damage to national security by using a non-governmental communication channel. They should use all this stuff like in closing arguments. All this stuff. Just got clips of him basically hanging himself. Discuss damage to national security by using a non-governmental communication. This is what this clown said. What were they doing off secure government channels? This is the original sin here. That's the question neither of them has yet answered. I think actual damage is possible because of the way foreign intelligence services operate. Oh, you mean like maybe Iran might get in? They might get in? You think Iran, they might be a danger? The way our own intelligence services operate, you can take everything you can get. You take everything you get. You take every piece of information, in this case, about American military operations against the Houthis in Yemen. It tells you something that otherwise you wouldn't know about the American capabilities, American tactics, American approaches to this kind of thing. And that's useful to the Russians, Chinese, the Iranians. Oh, the Iranians. Oh, now we're worried about the Iranians, the North Koreans, and others as well. How that fits the body of knowledge they already have is a question I can't answer, but it can help. That's for sure. What? And maybe they have too much information because of what they picked up from your freaking AOL emails to your wife and daughter, doofus. Yeah, the audacity of this guy. The sheer audacity. On or about April 22nd, In a media interview, Bolton addressed what was considered prior to discussing sensitive information. He said, I think the second example of a single chat group really shows a terrible lack of judgment. Oh, yeah. This is the queen of judgment right here. Oh, you go, queen. You go, queen. Let's sweep it up with that big freaking that push broom mustache of yours. Really shows terrible lack of judgment in communicating with people in the group in particular who have absolutely no need to know about any upcoming U.S. military operation. Oh, like your wife and daughter? Leads me to wonder what he's doing on a job on a minute-to-minute, hour-by-hour basis that he's got time to knock out signal messages to friends and family, which is what this group is. It's not friends and family. It was cabinet members, you moron. Unbelievable. This guy who was sharing with friends and family, literally such a jerk. What a jerk. Charges, counts 1 through 8. Let's get into what we're going to hang this guy for. All right. John Robert Bolton, lawfully having possession of access to and control over being entrusted with information relating to national defense, which information the defendant has reason to believe could be used to the injury of the United States and to the advantage of any foreign nation, willfully communicated, delivered, and transmitted, cause to be communicated, delivered, and transmitted the same to a person not entitled to receive it, to wit. Bolton sent via his personal non-government email account and or his personal non-government messaging application the information relating to the national defense described below to individuals 1 and 2. Count 1 is what he sent on September 23rd. This reveals intelligence about future attack by an adversarial group in another country. November 23rd. For September 23rd, then November 23rd, document B reveals liaison partner sharing sensitive information with U.S. intelligence community. That was top secret. This was secret. Then you have January 13th, more top secret. These are documents that reveal intelligence that a foreign adversary is planning a missile launch in the future. What an idiot. A covert action in a foreign country is related to sensitive intergovernmental actions, sensitive sources and methods used to collect. He's sending that to people who have no business knowing through means that never should be used. June 2nd, 2019. Document D reveals information about an adversary's knowledge of planned U.S. actions, intelligence about adversary's plans for attack conducted against the U.S. forces in another country, human intelligence using sensitive sources. This is real stuff. This is real stuff. Top secret stuff. Top secret stuff. Top secret stuff. Reveals intelligence on an adversary's leaders. Sharing that on July 6th. More top secret stuff on August 18th. Document F reveals intelligence concerning a foreign country's interactions with an adversary. In quotation marks, direct statement collected via intelligence sources. So now you can get people basically killed because you're sharing this information. Foreign country intelligence. This guy he's a klutz. Selfish klutz. Foreign countries' intelligence describing an adversary's planned attack on a facility. Sensitive sources and methods used to collect intelligence. He's an idiot. September 8th, more top secret. Document G reveals covert action planned by the U.S. government intelligence confirming a foreign adversary was responsible for an attack. Oh, there you go. Let's share that out also. And September 15th. This is top secret. HCS, human source, reveals a covert action conducted by U.S. government, a liaison partner country, and specific information about the action. He's a menace. So that's the first 8 charges. Then you have charges 9 through 18. Having unauthorized possessions. This is stuff he wasn't supposed to have. The first stuff is stuff he had authorized possession of, right? That's what I think the difference is between first 8 and the last 10. So the first 8 he had lawful possession of. That's the first 8 categories. The next charges 9 through 18 relate to things he was not supposed to have. Over document writing and note relating to national defense. Willfully retain this document, writing, and note. Top secret. reveals intelligence about future attack by adversarial group in another country. Reveals liaison partner sharing sensitive information. Secret no foreign. Top secret, HCS, reveals intelligence that foreign adversary is planning a missile launch in the future. Count 12 is top secret, USA Great Britain. Reveals intelligence about an adversary's knowledge of a planned U.S. actions. So we know that they know about stuff that we're planning on doing. Human intelligence using sensitive sources and methods, a covert action program. Charge 13 is more top secret documents, reveals intelligence on adversaries' leaders. 14 is reveals intelligence concerning a foreign country's interactions with an adversary. 15 is reveals covert action plan by the U.S. government. Intelligence confirming foreign adversary responsible for an attack. So stuff that we figured out who did it. He's sharing that out on his modem. This is what he's sharing it out on his AOL. Yes, it's a very dated reference. Half of you will understand it. Number 16 is reveals a covert action conducted by U.S. government liaison. Specific information about the action. More top secret, more top secret, more top secret. Reveals intelligence that a foreign country is considering specific force against another country. In addition to basically saying each of these charges, he can get hit for up to 10 years, 18 U.S.C. 793 and 794. Each of these get hit for up to, so this is 18 U.S.C. 793E. As opposed to the earlier one, which is 793D. That's the difference there, whether it's stuff he's a right to have or does not have a right to have. In order so that you are a little better informed, I'm actually going to pull these up for you in a moment. Upon conviction, we won his money on the 793H and 981A. Any property, real person which constitutes or derived from the proceeds traceable from the offense. We want his book money. That's basically what they're saying, I think. I think he might try and defend and say that the book stuff is different. You said it was different in your complaint. So maybe it's not the book money. I don't know. That might be a haggling point. If any of the property described above is resulting in the act of omission, the defendant cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, has been transferred or sold to with a third party, or has been placed with the jurisdiction of the court, substantially diminished, or commingled. U.S. should be entitled to forfeiture of substitute property. So let's take his house from him, basically, under 18 U.S.C. 793. So that's Kelly O'Hayes, U.S. Attorney, and Thomas M. Sullivan. There you go. Indicted today. And he spent all of the rest of his natural days behind bars, which is where he belongs. That is where he belongs. Let's get some more quotes from him. It's from John Bolton here. How he feels about this sort of thing. Because he hates when people are sloppy with their stuff.
Well, I think it's a devastating indictment.
It is quite a devastating indictment, John.
It's very powerful in
Very powerful.
the way that it's portrayed, but it's also very narrow, very targeted.
It is.
The government
It's very targeted to the 18 things he did wrong, John.
didn't throw everything and the kitchen sink at the wall. It has focused this in a way that I think, as a matter of law, is going to be very difficult for the president.
It's very difficult. Like I said, all these quotes you can apply to himself.
To resist. I think the real question is the question of timing and scheduling. You know, if Donald Trump were an honest man, if he were an innocent man, he'd be saying, I want the trial within 30 days.
Oh, is that what you're going to do, John? You're going to say you want the trial in 30 days? Is that what you're going to do?
I want this cloud removed from over my head. I want this
Why don't you get this cloud removed from over your head, John?
stain on my reputation removed. So we'll wait and see what Donald Trump does. I think he'll try and postpone it to after the 2024 election.
True.
So my suggestion to Jack Smith and the Justice Department is go lean on the Manhattan District Attorney and get him to move his trial until after the election. This trial should take precedence. We'll find out whether Alvin Bragg is a real prosecutor or a political hack. The answer.
Duck Fat decided to mock me, saying I decided to donate $1 for every point your defense received this week. Out of 4 teams in your roster, you chose the Steelers. Congrats, here's $1. Appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. I kind of chalked this up as a loss this week. I did not mean to start the Steel defense, but once they started, I realized like at an 8-17, I was like, why do I have the Steelers defense up there? That's pretty dumb. But I don't think I stand much of a chance this week, honestly. I think I'm like a 20-point dog. So I'm not losing sleep over that. I've decided that going 5-2, I'll still be in first place. So eat that. Fat. Eat it. I'll still be in first place. And that's going to be my last loss of the season. So congrats to Buckman on that. And I'm not going to lose again. So it shall be written. So it shall be done. Where was we at? Where was we at? You think you're throwing me off my game with that? No. I wasn't losing sleep on that. Nick Sorter sharing out breaking John Bolton's indictments for more than just retaining classified documents. He also shared them. Yep. Using Google and AOL. He is absolute toast. And the right is celebrating. We covered all of this here. Let's get more clips of him. That's what I really want.
May be of the highest level of sensitivity, or they may not. We just don't know. So we could speculate all night here. I'd prefer that the Justice Department move as rapidly as possible as they can through this in order that as much as can be made and would be made public is done as quickly as we can, because otherwise the department is left out there twisting in the wind, to use a Watergate phrase, and it doesn't have adequate defenses against the political onslaught of Donald Trump. There's maybe of the high.
This is a position you should get used to, John Bolton, because you're going to be in this position a lot. Oh, that's another prediction I'm making. Fortunately, we won't have to bear witness to that. Fortunately. Here's him talking about Julian Assange.
He's committed clear criminal activity. He's no more a journalist than the chair I'm sitting on. The information that he divulged did, in fact, put many people in jeopardy. It undercut the ability of the United States to have confidential diplomatic communications, not just with other foreign governments.
This jackass was writing a book that he started working on less than 2 weeks after he came into the White House. Wow. Sharing information with folks who had no business having it through means that it had no business being used. And he's sitting here whining about Julian Assange.
Governments, but in many countries with dissidents, people who even speaking to American diplomats could find themselves in trouble. And so, you know, he's been complaining about his treatment over the past period of time. He's the one who sought asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy.
I can't wait to see this guy get sentenced the rest of his life in prison.
Now he faces extradition to the United States. I presume he will get due process in the United Kingdom to determine whether extradition should go forward. And when he gets to the United States, he'll get due process here. And I hope he gets at least 176 years in jail for what he did.
No, it's ironic because you're looking at 180.
Stella?
Well, of course, Ambassador Bolton is kind of the ideological nemesis of Julian. He has, during his time for the Bush administration and later the Trump administration, sought to undermine the international legal system, ensure that the U.S. is not under the International Criminal Court.
This is why I'm saying you don't have to worry about TDS sufferers. defending John Bolton. Nobody wants John Bolton.
Jurisdiction. And if it was, Mr. Bolton might, in fact, be prosecuted under the ICC. He was one of the chief cheerleaders of the Iraq War, which Julian then exposed through these leaks. So he has a conflict of interest here.
Nice. She didn't know. She didn't know what he had done. No one knew.
Trump's in.
This is him saying that Trump was finished. This is when he thought Trump was finished and all his problems were over.
Influence is declining. That hurts some people's feelings who want to use Trump to anathematize the entire Republican Party. But that gambit isn't going to work. If I do get in, it will be to win the nomination, not.
He wanted to be president. This guy.
Simply to prove a point. That's a serious, difficult decision to make, and I'm going to consider it in a prudent fashion. This whole idea that there's a Trump movement out there is simply wrong. The fundamental point in politics is philosophy. Everything else flows from that. Donald Trump has no philosophy.
Wrong. Everything he says is wrong. It's like almost as if he's George Costanza of foreign policy. Just whatever it is he says, if you do the opposite, things will be much better. Just do the opposite. This is literally the George Costanza of foreign policy.
Donald Trump doesn't think in policy terms. There is no Trumpism. He's an aberration in American politics, and it's the job not of the liberal media, not of the Democratic Party. It's the job of Republicans to repair the damage he's done, and that's part of what we're about here. My kind of conservatism, the kind that I supported when Barry Goldwater ran.
His kind of conservatism is your old school corporate neocons who are as crooked and money hungry and completely lacking in any patriotism whatsoever, purely looking out for self-interest and corporations and those who will line his pockets. That's what his brand of republicanism is.
And for president, and when Ronald Reagan ran for president, is the mainstream of the Republican Party. These outlaws.
Doofus. Yeah, that's his call. Great call there. There's no movement. More votes than Reagan ever got by a light year.
And there are some. There is a virus of isolationism within the party. But it's not a conservative philosophy. It's not a philosophy at all. It's performance art. That's what Donald Trump was.
Thank God he's done. Thank God he's going to jail. What does Trump think about all this? This is him learning. Of Bolton being indicted.
Indicted by a grand jury in Maryland. Do you have a reaction to that?
I didn't know that. You tell me for the first time, but I think he's, a bad person. I think he's a bad guy. Yeah, he's a bad guy. It's too bad, but that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes, right? That's the way it goes. Will I what?
Have you reviewed the case against him?
No, I haven't. But I just think he's a bad person. Okay, anybody else?
Just indicted by a grand jury.
I'll bet you're wrong. Telling you now, he's going to jail. I consider myself very, very much a realist. Okay. I tell you when there are problems with something. I tell you when I told you I didn't think Trump was going to go to jail. I told you that. And I was saying that there. I told you that I have concerns. I don't think they're ever going to bring charges against Barack Obama, even though I think they should. I told you that I don't want to see any charges brought in D.C. because I'm realistic enough to know they won't work. So when I tell you I think this guy is going to jail, I really, really believe it. I'm going to be very surprised if he manages to escape. I'll be very, very surprised. I don't think he's skating. He doesn't have friends. He's not a jurisdiction that's particularly friendly to him, and he did some really terrible things. Here's Trump giving a little bit more of an assessment about John Bolton than he gave today.
But I said, don't go in. They went in. It was such a bad decision. So Bolton, see again, you get back. Bolton, a real dope. But I thought he'd be great because he was so stupid. He was like a boiler. Every time if somebody shot down a little tiny crappy drone that cost about $15, he'd want to go to war with Russia. I said, no, I think he was great for me, though, for a period of time, because he was a nut job, and everybody, I could see his face get red with that stupid white mustache, and he'd be ready to explode. And this was good for me. I went to Kim Jong-un in North Korea. I took this moron with me, and he never said anything. But when Kim Jong-un saw him, he said, oh, shit, I think the guy wants to go to war. So he was great for me to negotiate with. The same thing with Russia. You know, when Putin saw him, I'd be very nice. I'd say, hi, Vladimir, how you doing? And then Putin's, 2 rows back, and it'd see that moron, and it'd say, holy shit, this guy wants to go to war with me. And I got a lot of what I wanted,
So there you go. There you go. There you go. Trump is great. He's great. He's really great. What did John Bolton say when he found out? This is what Caitlin Collins is reporting he said. In the first reaction to his indictment, John Bolton says, quote, for 4 decades, I have devoted my life to America's foreign policy and national security like a complete and total moron. I would never compromise those goals, except when I share information with my wife and daughter. I tried to do that during my tenure in the first Trump administration, but resigned when it became impossible to do so. Donald Trump's retribution against me began then, continued when he tried unsuccessfully to block the publication of my book, The Room Where It Happened, before the 2020 election, and became one of his rallying cries in his re-election campaign. Now I've become the latest target and weaponized in the Justice Department to charge those he deems to be his enemies with charges that were declined before or distort the facts. They weren't declined before. My book was reviewed and approved by the appropriate experienced career clearance officials. That's not the problem here. The problem is how you develop that book. When my email was hacked in 2021, the FBI was made fully aware. No, they were made fully aware, but not of what you had in there or how you shared things, according to the allegations. 4 years of the Prime Administration after these reviews, no charges were ever filed because Biden is an idiot. Then came Trump 2, who embodies what Joseph Stalin's head of secret police once said, you show me the man, I'll show you the crime. I think we show us the indictment, we'll see the crime. These charges are not just about his focus on me or my diaries. Why the hell you have diaries is just astonishing. What do you like a little Hello Kitty kind of thing there? You're sharing top secret information with your wife and daughter, you jackass. But his intensive effort to intimidate his opponents to ensure that he alone determines what is said about his conduct. Dissent and disagreement are foundational of America's constitutional system. Yeah, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Committing crimes is not. And vitally important to our freedom. I look forward to the fight to defend my lawful conduct and expose his abuse of power. Oh, yeah, you're going to ask for charges in 30 days the way you said he would if he was innocent? You're going to ask for that in 30 days? So, yeah, 1,000 pages of classified documents. 1,000 pages. Unbelievable. So there you go. There you go. I'm going on record as saying he's going to jail. Spend a little bit of time. I want to spend a little time with you all talking about this mayoral race because, oh my God, what a disaster. I don't see how Mamdani's not going to win.
Of course, it's a life crime.
I would love to tell you that Mamdani's going down. I would love to tell you that Mamdani's going down. if you're living in New York City, I weep for you, because this city is going to be in trouble. What little I saw of the debate tonight was Curtis Sliwa and Cuomo going after each other. And I'm listening to them, and I'm like, these two basically sound like clowns going after each other and just sort of letting Mamdani skate by as if he's a non-factor when he's the one who's leading in all the polls. I can easily see Mamdani getting 45% of the vote, and these other two idiots splitting 25-20. What the hell does that do? This is the worst. This is terrible. This is terrible. I'm going to give you I was watching this breakdown from these folks who were giving their assessment as to how it went. So we'll do a little bit of review of that. This was on Fox 5 New York, trying to break down their assessment of tonight's debate. And then afterwards, I'll share with you just how incredibly terrible Mamdani is.
You'll enjoy our analysis.
I guess you're probably going to want it a little slower than I was watching it. So we'll play it. We're not going to play at 2 1/4 speed. We'll go down to 1 1/4.
By two terrific commentators, New Yorkers themselves, who you know from Battleground NYC. Welcome to J.C. Polanco, attorney and assistant professor at the University of Mount St. Vincent, and Kaivan Shroff, Democratic commentator and attorney. Gentlemen, this is the night we've been waiting for. I'm so glad the both of you are here with me to talk about it.
Thank you for having me. Great to join.
Yeah, okay, so JC, I want to start with you. I want to get both of your top lines. JC, was there a winner of this debate? And if so, who was it?
New York City voters. We're the winners.
No, you're the losers. You're all the losers. And I say this as someone who grew up in New York, spent more than half my life living in New York City, and I'm horrified for that city.
We had an opportunity to see the 3 top candidates for mayor of New York City. Who's going to
The 3 awful candidates.
lead us into the future? Who's going to be our main cheerleader? Who's going to be our spokesperson internationally? We had an opportunity to see them in action tonight. See the contrast between the candidates. The questions were tough. As you mentioned in the top of the program, they had an opportunity to show how they would react in the international stage. How would they interact with the president of the United States? What are some things that are top of mind for a mayor who has to deal with the most important city on earth? And then later on, we went into the micro issues. Yes. About 311, we'll talk about that later. But look, New York City voters won tonight because we got to see the 3 candidates answer some of the toughest questions that you could ask them and things that you've been talking
Tonight, New York City learned just how screwed they are.
about here every night, SC.
Okay, I take your point, JC, but I'm going to sound a lot like a debate moderator right now and say, let me repeat the question. JC, was there a winner from tonight's debate, and who was it?
Oh, no. I'm going to repeat. The New York City voters who got the opportunity to watch were all engaged. Now, if you're asking me about the candidates that were on the stage, who are you going to lift their arm up and say, this is the winner of the night? Yeah. It's a little more complicated because you're looking at style, you're looking at substance. I think former Governor Andrew Cuomo knocked it out the park with experience. That's his strength. He went in there and talked about it tonight. You know, there were some weaknesses there with his answers as to what he could have done better. Focusing on
Yeah, but he got smacked pretty hard by Mamdani about how his experience revealed that he was basically killing the elderly. Mamdani hit Cuomo on the same thing that I hit Cuomo on, which is this guy killed the elderly.
On his social media was not exactly the answer I'm sure a lot of people wanted to hear. They wanted to hear, hey, I should have been more active. But he did say to his defense, hey, I should have been more available. I should have been more available to the press instead of running the Rose Garden strategy. As far as Assemblyman Mamdani, we know what his weakness is. His weakness is his lack of experience. He went in there with the zinger. I'm sure he practiced it a lot.
Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. Representative Vindman.
But it was effective. And then he stuck on message. He has the discipline of a Marine when it comes to talking about affordability. By the end of the debate, you think he invented the word affordability, right? So, and then Curtis Sliwa, quintessential New Yorker, the guy we know, the guy you can close your eyes, you can see him on the train. Yeah. You know that he means what he says. He was authentic tonight. He came through. What I was surprised about was how he attacked former Governor Cuomo so much throughout the night. I thought he was going to withhold some of that, considering that they are both the opposition to the Democratic Socialist candidate.
He spent all night attacking Cuomo. That was the problem. The two of them are wrestling with each other while Mamdani just sat there with his arms folded, saying, all right, you two fight it out for a second and third. That's fine by me. The two of them were just going after each other all night. Now, the clips they're going to show you because I went through this at 2.25 speed. They don't really show just how much it was Curtis Sliwa and Cuomo tangling with each other. But this is just a mess because New York City is deeply Democrat, and what little chance you have for Democrats being horrified by how terrible Mamdani is going to be split between Cuomo and Sliwa.
Very surprised about that.
Okay, good points. And you're right. We're gonna dig deeper into all of this. But Kaivan, just for you, who was the winner of tonight's debate?
Yeah, I think Mamdani was the winner of the debate. I think the different candidates had distinct goals. Mamdani had a low bar. He just had to not mess up, and he didn't mess up. And I think, he actually started off looking pretty tired. He was a bit frustrated and angry, not sort of the joyful warrior we've seen in those Fox News interviews earlier this week, and those sort of...
Any jackass commentator who is referring to joyful warriors, that's a call to Democrats. This guy's clearly a hardcore Democrat, but I can't disagree with his assessment that Mamdani is the winner tonight because of how much time Cuomo and Sliwa wasted tangling with each other instead of just basically saying, pick one of us because he's terrible. But joyful warrior, that's what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz's whole campaign was about. Who the heck would even come up with the term joyful warrior unless they were a hardcore Democrat?
Moments. At the same time, I think Cuomo had a good night, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. Specifically, he had two competing goals in this debate. One, he had to come across like not a jerk, because a lot of people have described...
I think the other sign I had that this guy is a Democrat is that he's very, very excited. He's very excited.
In that way. And then
I guess he's also from New York.
That, I think, limited him from going for the jugular, which he also needed to do. He needed to knock Mamdani off his game. He needed to pound him on policy, and we didn't have those exchanges. And in a lot of ways, it's reflective of the frustration people have with moderate Democrats that they don't take risks.
Yeah, good point. You both mentioned this a little bit. I want to play some sound from the top of the debate where the candidates were asked about their preparedness, their qualifications, their experience. Let's take a listen to what they said.
In other words, what the Assemblyman said is he has no experience. And this is not a job for someone who has no management experience to run 300,000 people, no financial experience to run $115 billion budget. He literally has never had a job. On his resume, it says he interned for his mother. This is not a job for a first-timer.
That's a great smack. That's a great smack from Cuomo. He never had a job in his life other than being an intern for his mother.
Day, you could have a hurricane, you have, God forbid, a 9/11, a health pandemic. If you don't know what you're doing, people could die.
Mr. Mamdani, you want to respond? And if we have a health pandemic, then why would New Yorkers turn back to the governor who sent seniors to their death in nursing homes? That's the kind of experience that's on offer here today. What I don't have an experience, I make up for in integrity. And what you don't have...
You don't make up for in integrity, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Have an integrity you could never make up for in experience.
Yeah.
Kaivan, who won that bout? Because listen, when Andrew Cuomo started talking about Mamdani's inexperience, I was like, oh, that's good. And then Zoran comes back with like a 1-2 punch. Who do you think won that one?
Yeah, I think it depends how much attention you've been paying, because to me, at least, that Cuomo line about you interned for your mother was a new one, and it's definitely a zinger. And I think the people at home watching these local debates, maybe it's a little younger now that Mamdani's in, but they tend to be older folks too that might resonate with. And I think Mamdani, that's a good line. It goes viral. People posted it. The reality is, though, if you've been following closely, it's a reused line. By the way, just like a lot of his risks are...
This is how this guy is so bad faith. This guy, I don't know who this guy is. I've never seen him before. I don't expect to ever see him again. He just said he had never heard it before. And then he said, the reality is if you're following closely, then you've heard it. What are you're the one who's supposed to be following closely. What are you talking about? Listen to what he says here. Where do they find these people? People have the attention span of a tsetse fly. Listen to him. So aggravating.
And when Andrew Cuomo started talking about Mamdani's inexperience, I was like, oh, that's good. And then Zoran comes back with like a 1-2 punch. Who do you think won that one?
Yeah, I think it depends how much attention you've been paying, because to me, at least, that Cuomo line about you interned for your mother was a new one, and
he's saying it's a new one.
It's definitely a zinger, and I think the people at home watching these local debates, maybe it's a little younger now that Mamdani's in, but they tend to be older folks too that might resonate with. And I think Mamdani, that's a good line. It goes viral. People posted it. The reality is, though, if you've been following closely, it's a reused line. By the way, just like...
How do you know it's reused when you never heard it before? I don't know what you're talking about.
A lot of his risks are very rehearsed. And I think that's why he does so well in those Fox News one-to-ones where he's, the minute he hears Trump, he's ready to go, look at camera, give his line. He kind of does that a bunch, but I think if you hadn't been following, it sounds good for the first time.
Okay.
You just said you never heard it before. What are you talking about?
Both of you stay right there. I've got more sound to play. I want more reactions. Don't go anywhere. More battle.
All right, we're going to get a little bit more from these idiots. Just because I was like looking for something that will give me like a bunch of clips from tonight's thing. I'm not watching 2 hours of that. That's just, I can't. I love you guys, but I'm not that dedicated. Just not 2 hours of this stupid debate, which I think has very little chance of moving the needle much. Oh my gosh, come on.
The architect, and we have the apprentice of no cash bail, which has been a disaster. We have the architect and the apprentice here of Raise the Age. My own son was almost killed because of that in a gang attack. We have the architect and we have the apprentice of Close Rikers Island, which would just release criminals in the street. Thank God I'm not a professional politician, because they have helped create this crime crisis in the city that we face. And
That's a good line by Sliwa. That's really good. And that's him actually now basically pointing out that Mamdani is, is pretty much the new version of Cuomo. That's a good job.
JC, what'd you think? Curtis there is basically saying you've got the elder statesman and the apprentice coming in, and they're basically the same.
Yeah, that was well rehearsed. He has some great Republican consultants supporting him. And you can tell that he used it effectively. He looked at the camera. This was his opportunity to say, these guys are peas in a pod. And I think it was pretty effective. And that was his moment without any interruption to get that out of the way. He used it a couple of times throughout the night. He wanted to draw a distinction between both of these guys. He saw what his weakness was, being the non-elected official. And I think he did a good job in that line.
Good. Okay. And I want to get to another issue that was really important
Someone explain to me what the deal is with her glasses here, because I don't understand the deal with her glasses, and I'm finding it more and more distracting. That this is like, even him with this guy up here with his goggles. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. Maybe I get too into aesthetics at times. I don't know what's happening.
The beginning of this debate, it was the issue of Israel. And here was one of Mamdani's moments on it. It was an important moment. Let's take a look.
Because everyone knows that Mamdani hates Jews. And as it happens, there's 1 million Jews living but he really does not like Jews.
How would you assure New Yorkers, especially Jewish residents who might be concerned about this, that you would be a mayor for all? You have 1 minute to answer this.
Notice how everyone knows you hate Jews. So it's like, how can you reassure Jewish Americans that you're not going to actually start a pogrom in New York City? How would you just try to spend a minute trying to reassure them that you're not going to be you're not going to be practicing from the river to the sea on New York?
Thank you for this opportunity. When I'm speaking about the responsibility of leading this city, I mean leading not just those who voted for me, leading not just those who vote, but leading every
I know Jews are not going to vote for me because I told you I hate you.
single person who calls the city home, and that includes Jewish New Yorkers. And
see, why are you saying this? You're basically admitting that you're an idiot if you're Jewish and you vote for me, because I already told you I hate you.
I have been so thankful for the opportunity I've had to sit with so many Jewish New Yorkers over the course of the primary and through the general. And it's in those conversations that I learned that this phrase evokes many painful memories.
Oh, yeah?
Memories of bus attacks in Haifa, of restaurant attacks in Jerusalem. And I heard...
So when you're repeating from the river to the sea, and that you just now learning this, what are you, 14 years old? How are you just now learning this? That it evokes memories of of intifada and civilians being blown up on buses. Idiot. I'm just now learning this.
From a rabbi about their roommate who was killed on one of those buses. And in hearing that and the distance between that impact and the rationale that some use of saying it, of speaking about the Israeli occupation of Palestinian land, is why I said that I would discourage this language that I do not use. And what I'm looking to do as the first
Language that I haven't used in the last 30 seconds.
Muslim mayor of this city is to ensure that we bring every New Yorker together. Jewish New Yorkers, Muslim New Yorkers, every single person that calls this city home, that they understand they won't just be protected, but they will belong.
Kaivan, what did you make of the fact that he was basically saying he had to learn that Jews had been attacked and Jews had been targeted, and so now he gets the issue more fully?
It was an interesting exchange, especially on the heels of that viral Fox News moment where he didn't say that, Hamas should disarm, and he tried to sort of do cleanup. This again was a moment that is verbatim rehearsed. He said that line, those phrases, those words in that order again and again in interviews and on the campaign trail. And I think it comes across as disingenuous to some extent. By the way, he said the same thing about he just learned in the last 5 years that safety is a part of leadership and justice. So those moments don't land well for him. And again, those were moments that Cuomo sort of pulled punches. He didn't really jump on those and say, you didn't know until after 2020 that policing is part of leadership and public safety in the biggest city in the world. So those were definitely missed opportunities, I think.
To that issue, I want to play a clip. Here's Mamdani on policing. Do we have that? Maybe we'll do that after the break. But JC, what did you think of his Israel moment? This is something he's been really, really sort of watched on.
Look, I'm an independent. Chances are I won't be voting for Assemblyman Mamdani. I can tell you I won't be voting for Assemblyman Mamdani. This is truly disingenuous. The man has built his political campaign on taking positions that are anti-Israel and borderline anti-Semitic. Look, you take a look at his questions yesterday on whether or not you encourage Hamas to be disarmed. He can't answer that. We have seen the language that have been used by his supporters regarding Israel. We have seen the talk about genocide. We have seen the lack of empathy for October 7th. We've seen that over and over again. For now, all of a sudden, for him to realize that calling for the death of Jews is all of a sudden something that he hadn't thought about how hurtful it could be, it's just tiring, and it's just not true. Similarly, I think it's very difficult to debate Assemblyman Mamdani. It is. Why? Because for every single issue, I've been studying this issue for a while, whether it's on prostitution and sex work, whether it's on taxation, whatever issue you can think of, the decriminalization of misdemeanors, ending jails of all kinds, and decriminalizing things of all kinds, he'll say he never said it, it didn't happen, and he doesn't think that anymore. So it's very, very tough to debate someone who's just weaving it.
Who's so full of crap. Who's so obviously full of crap. That's what he's saying.
And saying he never said things that are clearly here on video, from seizing the means to productions to decommodifying housing. Very tough.
Kaivan, go ahead.
No, and I agree. I do think that the moderators were aggressive at certain points, but not on those things where you had a tweet that was clearly untrue. What he said, he has said defund the police, things like that. And it seems like in his head, if he didn't say it since announcing his candidacy for mayor, it doesn't count. But of course, he doesn't have a long record. He doesn't have the experience. So I think it's completely fair for folks to want to judge him on what he said in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. Good points, guys. And again, stay put. I've got more for you on the other side of this break. More battle.
Another break. Another break.
We're back with more Battleground.
I wish they would give me more clips and less of this commentary.
NYC, the fight for your vote. And gentlemen, I wanted to get your take on policing because it's a big, big issue in this race. The issue of police crime, public safety, on transportation, in the subways, on the streets. And Mamdani's gotten pushback from law enforcement and moderate voters on things that he's said about the cops, as you guys were just referencing. Here was his message tonight. Take a look.
Growing up in this city, I would think.
Yeah, because he basically said that cops are like, what was his quote? I want to get his exact quote on cops. Let me see if I can get from ChatGPT the exact. What was Mamdani's controversial quote about cops. Just so we can get this squared away exactly right, so we get this. We don't need an investigation to know that the NYPD is racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. What we need is to defund the NYPD. That's what this clown who wants to be mayor said. We don't need an investigation to know that the NYPD is racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. That's going to be their mayor.
Often about safety and justice, and the ways in which that relationship has been irrevocably harmed. When I learned about the exonerated five, when I learned about Sean Bell, when I learned about Eric Garner, when I learned about Michael Brown, and then in 2020, when I wrote these tweets, learning about the death of George Floyd. And that was a moment where it felt as if the distance between these two ideals had never been further. And in becoming an assembly member and serving...
He was talking about the NYPD. What does that have to do with anything you just with George Floyd? What does that do? What does the NYPD have to do with George Floyd?
And representing more than 100,000 people in Queens, learning that to deliver justice means to also deliver safety. And that means leading a city where you recognize the bravery of the men and women who joined the NYPD and put their lives on the line. Yeah. It means representing the Muslims who were illegally surveilled in my district.
See, it's all about, there you go.
And the black and brown New Yorkers who have been victims of police brutality. Growing up in this...
JC, how did he do?
Again, the same cadence. This is rehearsed. I've seen it before. You cannot escape calling the police racist, anti-queer, saying that our district attorneys are the ones that are committing violent crimes, wanting to end any incarceration because it doesn't work. I mean, this is the history of Assemblyman Mamdani. Now he's cornered because he's 3 weeks away from an election, and he has to represent the largest city in the country. And if you're going to be the CEO of New York City government, how can you defend these incredibly irresponsible positions? They're indefensible. So you have to say things like, when I learned, and now I apologize.
A lot of learning. Yeah,
it's a lot of learning that's happened. And the kind of learning, this is where I think Governor Cuomo really knocked it out the park tonight with the experience question. Because this learning that you're going to do on the job, he's already done. So it really was an eye-opener for voters tonight, especially independent voters. And some of those 72% of Democrats that didn't vote in the closed party primary, they may be coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Kaivan, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think it actually played a little bit better without, with the context of that he was responding to Cuomo, because I think Cuomo was too in on police. Like, obviously that's his message and that's his sort of what he's running these ads on that I'm sure we'll all be seeing a lot more of over the next several weeks. But he didn't acknowledge that what I think a lot of Democratic voters do feel, which is that there are obviously some problems with policing in America. That's been well established. And so Mamdani reminded folks of that. I will say this was another moment that I think, Cuomo, I talked about that bind he faced of not coming across too aggressive, but trying to have a moment. He also could have played for some Sliwa voters on the issue of crime. And especially, Sliwa's charmed people online with 15-second clips and like, oh, maybe he's not a mean Republican. But the reality is 2 hours of Curtis Sliwa was a lot of Curtis Sliwa. He sounded like a wacko. I was thinking of that Lisa Rinna gif. It's wackadoodle time. The 100th time he mentioned the Guardian Angels. I mean, which is, by the way, a vigilante group where he's lied about crimes that they've stopped. And it is a bit crazy. And Cuomo could have taken that opportunity. By the way, he lost the plot a couple of times.
I can't listen to this guy anymore. I'm sorry. Anyway, I don't think that Cuomo or Sliwa did enough. I just really don't. I have grave concerns. Grave concerns. And when it comes, one way that I think he's planning on fighting crime is by basically saying that nothing is a crime. And that's one of the horrifying things. I don't know who Joe Sweeney is, but this ended up in my feed at some point. And apparently he claims he's a New York attorney. I have no reason to question that. I assume he is. But this is his take about Mamdani's approach to crime.
All right, I'm Sweeney. I am down here outside of the district's attorney's office here in Lower Manhattan. And for all the videos I have ever published, guys, I have never once asked you to reshare them. I've never once said spread them to your friends and make them go viral. But as God is my witness, I hope this one goes mega viral with no vested interest to myself.
That's never true. There's always a vested interest to yourself in having a video go viral.
only for the safety of New York City residents. And it'll be a short one, okay? I'm going to start off with a demand. I'm going to paint you a very scary picture, and I'm going to end it with a question. And here's my demand. Stop pissing on my leg and telling me that it's just fucking raining. For all you folks that are saying, oh, Zoran's not radical, he's just capitalism with a few social programs. He just came out with a press release saying he wants to abolish misdemeanors. And thankfully for you guys, I'm an attorney, so I can explain to you guys what a few misdemeanors are, all right? Third-degree assault, third-degree drug possession, theft, larceny, DWI, forcible touching. For that crusade of women that was across, social media last summer saying, where are all the strong men that aren't coming up to protect us when someone touches us on a subway? Even if I did what I wanted to do, which is step up and knock someone's fucking teeth out, Zoran would arrive and say, cops, let him go. That was just a forcible touching. It's not a jailable offense, which leads me to my final question. Zoran, what kind of fucking peyote are you smoking?
Wants to abolish misdemeanors. Sure, why not? Let's abolish misdemeanors. No such thing as a misdemeanor. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Guy's a walking disaster. That's what I got for you. That's what I got for you. I think, I'll tell you right now, I see Cuomo and Sliwa splitting the sane votes, and there'll be enough Democrat vote blue no matter who, loser, idiots, kid voters, children, whatever, and Muslims to basically carry Mamdani. I don't see how Mamdani is not going to win right now. This one, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong. But my tea leaves are basically a very, very bad sign. I was asking my friends when they were by me. I have one quick thing I want to share with you also. I'm going to share with you a quick story that happened totally unrelated to anything we covered now, but it was something that made Lady Logic laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. And I figured you guys would like to hear it. So I'm sure I figured you would all appreciate. So I'm going to share this with you before I get on out of here. But yeah, if you ask me my opinion, I think Mamdani's going to win. And it's sad. It's sad because I think the city is going to go down the tubes. It's already been going down the tubes for a long time, but it's going to escalate quickly, very, very quickly. Before I share the story, I'm going to say, God bless you, Brian Oldenkamp, hitting me. 10 new members of the following. Who'd you bring on in here to the following? Following 10 people, as a new member of the following, you should express your gratitude to Brian Oldenkamp for bringing you into an agency that is all about greater personal growth through community unity, learning, and thinking. Not at all a cult. Even though you're all followers now, it's not at all a cult type of cult. And that would include Master Debater number 6. Master Debater who just was really rubbing my nose in the fact that he kicked my ass last week and hung my first loss on me. Welcome to the following. Jerk. Just kidding, brother. Salty C, Ben Frail, McReekin CEO, Zach Rexroad, Nancy Lawrence. Good. You got some good folks in here. Adalian, Renee Collins. These are all OGs. Steve C, another OG. And Rude Dog. Welcome to the following, you guys. In case you're unaware, the following is not at all a cult type of cult. It's just a gathering of like-minded individuals, but there's no goat sacrifices, no squirrel mutilations, no mandatory tracksuits, no spaceships, no Kool-Aid. There's no Kool-Aid. There's no throwing virgins into volcanoes. There's no dancing around. Hey. None of this. It's not there. It's not at all a cult type of cult. It's just about greater personal growth. That's all it is. So welcome to the following, guys, and thank you again, Brian. You are awesome. One more thing that I wanted to share with you. So I'm going to share with you this story. So I mentioned, I think at some point last week on Thursday, I went with the family. A week ago today, I went with the family to this laser tag thing. It was like a laser tag, kind of like paintballing, but with lasers. Laser sensors that you wear in your head. And in a forest, run around there for an hour and a half with my family, trying to kill all my kids. As Lady Logic and I were teamed up with my nephews against my own children. And yeah, so ran around there for an hour and a half. I should mention I'm dealing with so on the first days of the holiday, let's start with this. First days of the holiday. So yeah, my daughter, my oldest, was by us. And she's a PA. So any type of medical thing, she's the one I'm gonna ask because she's my daughter and it's just easier. So sitting around the table with the family. And I just sort of threw out there because Lady Logic is all over me whenever like I ask any of my kids to do anything for me. She gets really all over me not to be lazy. And she doesn't realize that I'm dealing with like a leg issue. So I said to my daughter Mati, that's what we call her because that's her name. So I said, Mati, it's not really that big a deal if every time I stretch or bend my leg is an aggravating pain. That's not really that big a deal, right? And she's like, what? What does that mean? So I was like, it only hurts when I stretch it, when I straighten it, or I bend it. Otherwise, it's totally fine. It's like when I'm sitting here with you guys for a couple of hours, it feels totally fine the whole time. Don't even notice it. It's only when I stand up or whatever. So she checked the back. She's asked me where it hurt, and I told her it was like in the joint, like directly behind the knee. She said that's called a Baker's cyst. So I said, what do we do for that? She said, well, you can ice it. You can wear a brace. Usually it can go away on its own. If it's really bad, you can get it drained. So it's not serious. So that's good. So a couple days later, I'm out in a forest with some laser stuff attached to my head and a gun, running around trying to shoot my children and limping around out there as best I can. Basically, I felt like I was supposed to be chanting like red rum, red rum, red rum, red rum as I'm running around the forest there, trying to hunt down my own family. And yeah, so we finished that up. And after I'm doing this for an hour and a half, I'm like sort of like just like limping back to the car. This other family pulled up. And this guy was walking up. I don't know the guy's name. I never got the guy's name. I'm going to assume his name was Methuselah or Methuselah's older brother. He looked considerably older than my dad. Lady Logic's already smirking. She knows where this is going. And he said to me, and I'm like limping back. Again, I got a Baker's cyst. I never knew there was such a thing as a Baker's cyst until like that's the diagnosis. But that's why I'm like limping along there. I got like a leg thing that's happening here. I'm limping along. So all of a sudden, like Methuselah goes to me. He's like, you guys had a good time? I was like, yeah, it was great. And I really did. I had a great time. You know, it's fun running around trying to kill your offspring, chanting red rum and all that other stuff. And we won, which is even better. Look at that. That's right. The old folk came through. So we won 3 out of 5 games. So it's like, so he's like, you played? So I said, yeah. He goes, oh, so I should play? And I like looked at him and I'm like, wait, we're in the same. Sure. Go get him. go get him. Go get him, Tiger. My wife could not. She was doubled over in laughter. She was doubled over in laughter that the yardstick for this guy to figure out whether it was appropriate and a good thing that he would enjoy, whether this was an activity that he should partake in, was whether or not I partook and enjoyed in it. Like that was how he knew, oh, this is for me too. And I was just like, what? What? Are you kidding me? What did she's sitting, she woke up to giggle at me telling this story, just remembering me. My face was just like, my God, that is so cold. That is so wrong. And that only precipitated Lady Lawgic telling every other story over of someone who mistakenly thought I was like basically, Joe Biden's older brother. And yeah. That's right. That's right. I elevated to great logic. It's terrible. It was terrible. Anyway, I felt it was very offended. I was very offended. But what was I supposed to say? I was supposed to say to him, I don't even know how I started saying, wait, are we really in the same freaking league? Is that how you're looking at us here? And then I realized that's really rude. Like, I don't think he's trying to be rude, but he just is. Yeah, there you go. Old school. Methuselah Joe. Look at you. One old guy's opinion. It's been a minute since I've seen you, brother. Thank you for the generous super chat, brother. Mamdani is above all a 12er Shia Muslim. Marxism is a means to an end climbing the political ladder. Every progressive Democrat Muslim uses the party and ideology to gain political power. To do here what's being done in EU countries, that is truth. I think that this is likely an accurate assessment. I think that what you're saying is almost certainly true. And the reason I can't tell you that, the objective is to radicalize America, but I definitely think that he's purely about his own self-interest, and that's true of 9 out of 10 politicians. And someone who's willing to introduce that level of terrible, obvious self-destruction, and is coming from a Muslim background, I sort of have to ask myself what his true motivation is, and it certainly is not for the betterment of New York City or Americans. That's 100% true. Sadly, I don't believe that most New Yorkers will take my word for it. But to those of you who are listening, I would take my word for it. Please, for the love of God, get out there and vote against that guy. Anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I thank you all for joining me. I'm going to try and stream over the weekend. We'll see. We'll see if that works out. We're not sure, but we're going to try and stream over the weekend. Don't know if there's even going to be a layback law tomorrow. When I checked earlier, there didn't seem like it was happening. The last thing was me saying, let's roll. Oh, Eric says he can't do it this week. So maybe it's not going to happen. Anyway, I urge you to check out goodlogic.locals.com, goodlogic.locals.com. Sign up there. You'll find out when and where I am at all times, because that's where I basically notify the internet of my whereabouts. It's kind of like how, a husband checks in with his wife. That's how I check in with the internet, is through goodlogic.locals.com. So if you want to know when and where you're going to find me, that little white section down here, goodlogic.locals.com. The goal is caliphate, not just radicalize. Think that way. Yeah, like I said, I can't disagree with what you're saying. I can't. And Judge Maddie he's the one, if you ever want to know when the plane is landing, I notice as I'm coming towards the end, Judge Maddie is the one who's most accurate in assessing when the plane is landing. So that means that it's time for me to remind you all that lab meat was never meant for you. It was not invented for you. It's not invented for humankind, actually. They do say it's for they, them, but it's definitely not for you. And do not eat This is a bugs. Don't do it. Don't think about it. You don't want to go there. Have a good night. And as always, Godspeed.